pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so the second section of our tentative budget. We went over most of this yesterday evening. So we'll go back to couple. Don, I know you took some notes yesterday, so don't forget anything. I know you said you took some notes on what ones we had to cover, just in case I missed anything. I know that Howard, one of you were going to reach out to Mr. Bruno on yours. If we look at page 5, I don't think we had anything prior to page 5.
Yeah, page 3.
Yeah, excuse me, page 3. I am on page 3. Oh, sorry, I apologize.
What's up?
No, mental moment. But I am on page 3, and that's what the top of the page 3 was, the town board. So, have you made a decision on your 2% raise?
I spoke to Vern, and he doesn't want the raise, if that's that particular question.
Okay.
He doesn't want his raise.
So,
We can call him if you wanted to. I mean, he said he'd be around the phone around 6:15.
actually this is a legal meeting, so if we do it by phone or by
It
Zoom,
wouldn't be.
we're
It would
opening
be.
up
Okay.
another can of worms.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, that's why, you can do it off the record until we get or whatever, but
Or down.
on the record, we can't do any kind of media unless we advertise it correctly, because everybody would then have the chance to jump on.
So then for town board, we switched the 27096 in place of the 27908.
If that's what you guys are wanting to do. Everybody in favor of that? 7096. And that will be a 00. Justices, we didn't have anything there.
Can I-
Mine, yeah.
I'm sorry, going back to the town board CE, the
Yes.
2000, is that training too?
That's all the training for the town board.
Okay.
So that was lowered a couple before COVID, so if you guys are going to be doing more training now, I don't know what you guys are going to be doing.
Does that include for New York City too?
Yes.
Looking at increasing that, and it probably makes sense to, now that things are back up and moving again, for training purposes. What do we decrease that? Do you remember what I think you're probably gonna end up going back to like 2020, huh?
I don't think it was decreased, but more people have been going to the
Okay.
training. So the 2019, I believe we did a budget transfer.
Okay.
Give me a second.
You going, Howard?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not gonna cover very much. You going?
I would probably go this time.
Yeah.
It depends on,
So-
it depends on, I
In
think it's February,
2019, you guys spent a total of 39.72.
right.
But things have gone up since then.
Right.
How many went that year? Do you have an idea?
So,
Just roughly?
one. Out of the town board, 3. It looks like 3.
3?
That included other training throughout the year though too, right? Now, does that also include new board members?
Yes,
Yeah.
So if they go to Albany for their training, that's included in there too?
yeah, but there's
Yeah.
nobody new for next year.
Well, no, but
No, but,
we have one we probably should
Yeah,
say.
but if you're going to other trainings like in, like positive, anywhere else, that all comes out of there, yes.
And, that's gonna be a little bit of money, cause that's a 3-day course.
mm-hmm.
Wanna move that to, 4,000 at least?
Is that gonna be enough?
How much? I didn't hear.
4,000?
4,000 at least?
Yeah, because it was, in 2019, it was
39, so
39.72.
even if we don't get 3 going this year, you know,
You said you wanted to go?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I'll be going. Kevin, question regarding that. I know the year I went, it was opened up to planning board,
it always is. Yeah.
zoning, it is. So
Yeah.
there may be some of those people that might go, right?
Right, but
But this is
that
just
doesn't
town.
go on that line item,
Yeah, okay, understand you.
right?
Okay,
That-
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just
just
for
town
our
board
town
only.
board,
is just
Okay.
for
the way
town
I
board.
understand.
I understand.
But good looking out, yeah, no, you wanna make sure that
Right.
theirs is,
Not including you, just the town.
yeah, just
Councilman.
the
Yes.
councilman and the supervisor.
Yes, okay.
You
So
know,
in 2019, the budget was 4,500 and you spent 39.72.
So we probably should put it at 45, wouldn't you think? Not any less than that? Everybody go with that? Alright, so let's change that one to 45. That way when we have our preliminary, at least everybody knows what the budget is.
So I mean, it shows a 125% jump, but it's a $2,500 jump. So
Right.
just so you don't get surprised.
No,
when you
yeah,
see
yeah,
the-
cause
see
we
that
doubled it, so it's
percentage.
gonna be over 100% increase, yeah.
Yeah, 125.
Yep, yeah, 125. Anything else to there? The only other one I had was mine. Like I say, I figured mine out too. I'm looking, if I only work 8 hours for 4 days at 32, comes out to $14.20 an hour. So,
Well, this is really, we discussed this last night, it's really cost of living, it's really not a performance.
right.
It's not a raise, it's a cost of living increase, right?
Right. So, if everybody's good with that, we'll move on.
I'm good with it.
I'm good, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Now, Kevin, in your contractual expenses, the 2,000 and up,
Does that include local meeting costs? Or do you have any, do they charge for anything at any of these meetings locally?
I'm looking at what we actually used. It looks like 111 so far to date on 2022 and $100 of it on 2021.
but I
But
can
you know what
tell
lines you put stuff under. Naturally, I didn't go to the Association of Towns training those 2 years, but.
In 2018, it was $2,600 spent.
But have we ever exceeded that 2,000 for the contractual online?
In 2018,
Oh, okay, I thought you meant you budgeted for 2,600. We actually spent 2,600?
yeah, we spent 2,600 in 2018.
In 2018?
Was that your first year?
No, I started in 2020. January of
That was
20.
a lot of training for Rick, must be.
Yeah, that was Rick. I guess it just matters what we put under what line on the bill, right? On my association in the town, or any training I do, that would come out of that, so. I don't foresee a ton of it.
So leave it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we'll be all right there. All right, anything else on page 3, because I got nothing else.
Nope.
Page number 4, we gotta go back up to the top. Elections, PS for personal services. I received a phone call back from Dave today due to some unanticipated expenditures at the county. What do you say, 19.5
19.5.
is what they're gonna ask from each town, roughly?
No,
What
that's
is-
that's for our
us,
town.
But 25%, I should have said, is what they're estimating from each town increase. So I think 19.5 is what he thought we should have. And he knows, or should know, what it's gonna cost us at the BOE, so.
And we're at 16.8 or 10?
We're at 16.8, so I can tell you what the difference is after, but let's put that to 19,500.
Would be a 16% jump from last year.
How much?
16%.
16.
From last year.
We don't have any control over that.
No, he goes, the polling salary, I think, was part of it. The biggest thing he said, wasn't it, moving the equipment back and forth? The rates went up for whoever they used to move the polling booths from the county to wherever they gotta set them up, and that was the biggest part of the expense, so.
In the actual 2022, we still got November, we gotta get into there, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
And we usually don't get that bill till January, February.
So we're not gonna be far off on that one then.
No. I don't think so.
Kevin, on page 4,
Mhm.
I had a question last night.
Yep.
And Mary, that you're back. This item of unallocated insurance,
That's
specifically,
the town's insurance, all the buildings, all
Sure.
the vehicles.
okay,
Not-
I
not
wasn't
highway
sure
vehicles, right?
about that.
No, everything's in the insurance though. I mean, Mike and I went through an extensive upgrade on his inventory. But, the highway is still included in that insurance
vehicles,
line,
yes,
cause it's
and all
one,
the other
well,
vehicles
Okay.
and
a
buildings.
couple different insurance
So-
policies.
so it's
don't
an
get me
umbrella
wrong,
then.
But it's all under
That's-
that blanket
Okay.
policy,
Yeah.
kinda like a inland.
And it's higher
policy.
this year than last year, more because we added vehicles this year.
Okay,
We,
thank you.
we also added property too, coverage,
Yeah.
like gazebos and, there was a building over on San River Road that wasn't on there. We actually added in, that gazebo also too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you that, but I updated all the insurance policies. That way, we have the coverage. And there were a couple properties that the town owned too, that we made sure they had liability coverage on. I'm sorry, did we answer all
Yes,
all your
yeah.
questions?
Yes.
All right, and that's the only thing I had on that page.
On page 4,
Yep.
okay, the safety inspection, the segment of code enforcement, half of it. I think we were gonna bring that up.
I thought we brought that up. When we discussed it before the last, over the 3%.
I don't think we had decided to go 3%. Had we?
I thought we were gonna try to stay 3% and discuss any other things aside from that, you know, like with Mike and Sam.
Barbed,
Huh?
or barbs, yeah.
Yeah, so we
$200.
stayed with the cost of living. the same
Okay.
For everybody.
Okay, I guess that's how that ended. Last name? Okay.
Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Because that's what I understood, otherwise I don't like it.
Yeah, because that's one was bringing up, like, everybody, dog patrol and everybody would have to be looked at and,
Well, it's everything.
yeah.
And then if you're gonna indiscriminate, well, you're gonna give a different cost of living to different people down here, I think you're gonna run into
It's like,
some
like us, we
feedback,
have the option to,
but you're
Yeah.
injecting.
yeah.
All right. So that brings us to Mr. Snyder. We did do some checking today. And I want to make sure I'm reading this correctly. So I need copies for each member. You want any of these? Okay. So on 63 at the top, I just wanted to make sure that if we were going to do an adjustment to your salary, because you're an elected official, that we had the legal right to do that, okay? Because he is an elected official. And the way that I interpret this, so I made a copy for each of you. This is notice of amounts, increased salaries of supervisors and town board members and elected town clerk and elected town superintendent. Must be set forth in an elected town superintendent must, excuse me, I read the same line twice. Notice of public hearing on the preliminary budget. Those salaries cannot be set at the amount greater than which appears in the notice. However, the town board may increase these salaries once during the year by adopting a local law subject to permissive referendum pursuant to the municipal home rule law. So basically in that first paragraph, it looks like, to me, reading this in black and white, and I'm not a lawyer and I didn't spend the holiday in the Express last night, but it looks like as long as it's part of the tentative budget, when we do it, we can increase his salary or any of those salaries in here. If it is after we do a preliminary budget, then you can do it once a year, but you have to have a local law saying that you're allowed to do that during the year once, and it is subject to permissive referendum. But from what you guys read it for yourself, then make sure that I did not misinterpret anything, but that's what it looks like to me. It says as long as it's in the preliminary budget. See what I mean?
Yep.
I had to read it like 5 times before I finally looked at it to see.
So,
Like I said, what I get out of this is we can do it now, as long as we do it prior to the preliminary budget, and it is in the preliminary budget. But you cannot do an increase throughout the year unless we do a local law.
I think our only question last night was the amount, right?
Right, so if we're gonna keep with alignment, the 3%
Mm-hmm.
down the board,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where this, comes from, then again, any salary adjustments for the base pay, I believe should be adjusted first, and then whatever the 3% is, or inclusive of that 3%, like we talked about with my 7% adjustment. If he was asking for that salary, it would be a 7% adjustment in his base, and then he would get the 3% that everybody else got after. In order to do that, I wanted to make sure legally that we could adjust elected officials' salary in the middle of their term. You know what I mean? If they're starting a term, like he was at the beginning of his, or I was at the beginning of mine, then it's whatever it is.
Is that a
because
2-year
that's
term
what
or
it is.
4?
His is a 4-year term. mine went.
This is the second year of that.
Yeah, this is the second year, so, like I said, but it does say as long, annually, as long as it's before that preliminary budget, we could adjust that salary. What I'm reading on this. I just want to make sure you guys read it clearly and make sure that you're in agreement also.
It's actually the third year, really. I mean, I know it's two for me, but like when John left was the first year.
Yeah, but we gotta go by, we go, I understand what you're saying, because you
Okay.
finished out John's term, we,
There was
pretty
three.
much,
That was
you were
appointed,
elected.
that wasn't elected. We didn't have a public.
Yeah, we appointed to elected, because
Yeah.
there's only, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it appointed, it's either gonna be appointed position
Yeah.
or elected position, because I
Yeah.
went through a month straightening that debacle out.
Mhm.
And we did appoint you to an elected position. So you can't, there is no appointed elected position. There's only two line items in the comptroller's office that you can pay a highway superintendent. One is under elected and one is under appointed. So if we'd had outright said we appointed him, period,
Yep.
then that's good. But you
Yeah,
can't,
what I'm saying though is we just did an appointed
to finish the term.
to finish the term.
Correct.
There was no public
But we left
election.
it, but
Yeah.
we left it as an
It's just like a
elected.
board, if the
We
board
never
opens
changed the
up.
title of the job.
Yeah, we
And that's
appoint
where I
somebody.
had to clear up some language with the Association of Towns, and it was
So Kevin,
a
just
month to get that straightened out.
to clarify this, so before we adjust his pay, are we gonna have to pass a local law? We're we're clear,
I want you to read it, but the
Yeah.
way that I read it, as long as it is in the preliminary budget, then there is no need. That's the way I read it, but I wanted you to read
Yeah.
it.
You can do it once during the year.
You can do it once during the year with a law, a local law, that is subject to municipal referendum, is what I read it.
it's so important not to mess this up.
I agree. That's why I brought
Wouldn't
it
you
in
think
with there.
that our town attorney should take a look at it at least?
I could, but he left.
And I mean, then we could set
left
up
on
a
the-
public hearing if we did need a local law,
Yeah,
and we could do it
Yeah.
at the next meeting at the end of this month.
No, you couldn't, you have
No.
to do it in November
wouldn't.
after the
all
budget.
right,
I understand.
right.
So that-
And he's on vacation, so
So-
he left the other night.
Would it be worthwhile maybe to consider, just to make sure of this, to call a special meeting, to get information from our attorney, then call a special meeting
If
and then
needed,
proceed with it
if needed.
quickly, you know?
And what I would do tonight, and it's just my opinion, is I would go forward the way we had planned on. Because until we adopt and put out the preliminary report before this month's meeting, then we can always reconvene and change whatever needs to be changed, but at least we'll have everything ironed out if it is indeed the way I think it is. But that's why I wanted all of you to read that. But it is pretty black and white if you read it. You know, it says notice of amounts of increases salaries of the supervisor and the town board members and elected town clerk and elected town superintendent must be set forth in the notice of public hearing. So that's, like I say, when we put it out there saying that that's the preliminary budget for the year. Notice of preliminary hearing on the preliminary budget, which we will be doing in October, right? Those salaries cannot be set at an amount greater than which appears in that notice. In that case, our preliminary budget would not be above, we wouldn't be asking for more of his salary than what we're putting in the preliminary budget.
I kind of take it that we're talking about the budget that came out for 2022, which stated his salary. Because we're still in 2022.
But we're working on
You see,
the preliminary budget.
I know
for
it, but we're not there
2023.
yet. But do you see what I'm getting at?
This is the preliminary we're working on that we gotta put
We've
out for
already
vote somewhere
passed the
before.
full budget for 2022, we've been
Wow,
operating
it's
off.
just very confusing.
No,
That's me.
that's what I said, I read
really-
it 5 times and had to
I mean,
read
this
each
is a
word.
big, this is a big deal
Yeah.
that could impact some things here, and
Right.
I just think the town attorney should just take a look at it.
Yeah.
And certainly whatever advice he,
And
would
what I'll
render.
probably end up doing is getting a hold of Mr. Manning, because I know
Certainly.
McCormick's on vacation. And that's why I said tonight, I would go forward like we interpret it, unless you interpret it differently. And then if we need to have another meeting on our tentative budget, because it doesn't become
It's
a
too
preliminary
late,
budget.
Kevin. It would be too late. You could never get another public hearing for a local law before the budget's passed. Budget's gotta be passed by November 15th. The latest. We usually do it on the, after the special
Thursday after
meeting,
election.
the Thursday after election. You'd have to introduce a local law at your meeting if you find out. My suggestion would be to call the Association of Towns. They would know more than probably.
Yeah, well, either
Town
way,
attorney.
I'm just saying that's not gonna happen tonight, Donna.
No, I know, so go forward with it
That's what I just
and then
said.
put it in the budget, and if not, then, but it's too late to have a public hearing for that,
No,
whatever it is.
I understand that, but all I'm saying is we'd be able to move forward
Yes.
if I've interpreted this correctly. If I haven't, then I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, then you have
There's
to
no
take it out of
way
the budget.
to go back and do that. We don't have enough time. Because we have to announce a public hearing at least a month in advance of the public hearing.
I agree.
And if that is indeed the case, then we can look at other solutions.
So what are we doing for now? What percentage?
Well, I know Mike was gonna call around and get some, local salaries on other town supervisors, so that we had something to compare it to. I asked Sam to do that, so if he wants to give us some
Yeah.
guidance on what he's found out.
So you got the town of Osable is 67,000. That's what, I don't know what he's going up with, asking for a percentage up.
He's currently at 67?
Yes, 67 or 68. Um, Shazy, he's 57,000, but he's asking for the 5%. They're going through, some negotiations.
He's at what, 50 what?
57.
Okay.
Well,
he was actually at 57,942. Was that the salary, Mike, for 2022
That
or
would be-
21?
2022 is 57,942 per sheet.
Oh, it was.
Okay, well,
Okay.
we just said,
Right here.
Yeah.
The only ones I could give was Shazy and Prue, the other ones weren't on the website. And the only reason I looked because you guys were
Did
asking.
you get Prue also?
yeah, Prue is 65,405. Black Brook is 64,185. Saranac, I'm not sure of. Of course, Plattsburgh is, right now, he's 83,596. He should be going up to 87,350.
85,596?
Yes. 883. And they're pretty sure he's gonna be going up to 87,357.
What's 4.5% on top of 83,596?
83,596,
Yep.
37,62.
So 3762 and 83,
87,358.
83.
Mhm.
87,358.
Huh?
87,358.
That's what,
That's what I can guarantee he's going to, because the town of Plattsburgh, whatever their contract was for their workers on their highway, they give the same amount to every employee in the town. And I think it was 4.25, if I'm not mistaken.
Four and a half was
Four and a
Tom
half?
Plattsburgh's
All right,
union.
4.5.
Town of Plattsburgh's really irrelevant to us.
Well, they're a Class A town. They got a lot more money. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I'd like to be anything what Mikey
see,
said.
big in town, I didn't even call, he was in the paper for 8%.
I got town of Peruse if you want Peruse.
Yeah, he got 65,
Oh.
405. Is that correct?
I couldn't get a hold of a lot of them today.
Oh, here it is. Howard, Cheesy.
Like, Red says Blue's a lot bigger than ours, that's for sure. The town.
What's 3% of 60,770?
I'm sorry?
3% of 60,770? Please?
1823.
So.
Well, Mike, in terms of comparing towns, what towns would you think would, be a comparison size-wise, the number of employees, which, we're allocated 5, obviously, for yours. What would you say, more Shazy, or
Well,
what would you say?
I understand what you're getting at.
I'm just trying to compare them, that's all.
It's hard, I mean, we're only 5 and everybody else is 6 and 8 and 13 men,
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is the amount of work and the time that the highway superintendent has to put in. It's just phenomenal. I mean, I'm on the go all the time.
Last night you mentioned 5%. Are you still comfortable with that instead of the 10? Or not?
Yes.
So what would a 5% give us in there?
$30,38. 3,038. So it'd be 63,808.
I'm sorry. Would you say that was 63 watt for the 5%?
63,808.
It'd still be a 3%, and then you're talking about hiking salary.
Exactly. That's where this came in. So.
Yep.
Doing some quick figuring here too. I mean, it looks like everybody's, if we were to take the mean of these, and I probably could have did that and gave you the mean, hang on. I just took a mean off my head, but.
You're gonna have to do all the towns, Dana Moore, being the town, everything.
Well, we could do a mean of what we have here. I agree with you, Mike, to do a total mean of the whole county, we would do that.
I think that's how we ended up with the 60 in the first place, when we started this thing, before the last election. Isn't that right? Remember that?
We went around.
Wasn't it 59?
Yeah, 59.
59.
Right, before the 3%
Yeah.
kicks in.
Oh, I see, okay. Mike, last year, did you get a raise for 2022?
Yeah, the 3%.
3%, okay.
What year was it that nobody got them? Was it 2021?
2021.
Yeah, the mean of those salaries come up to 63,250. If you add them up, divide them by 4. If I take the, I didn't put Plattsburgh in. If you want me to, I will. But they're a little out of our league. But Ausable, Shazy, Prue, Blackbrook, if you add those all up, it came to 253,000. Divide them by 4, it comes up to 63,250. I mean, I was thinking to bring him to 64,253, and that was giving him a $2,430 increase, and giving him his 3% raise, which was $1,823.
In addition?
No, that, if we didn't do it the other way. But that was basing this on, you know, my head at first, just adding those numbers up, so I was pretty close. But the mean is actually comes out to 63,808. But if you figured it on 65,000 as the mean,
You just said it was 63,250.
it is. But like I said, I just took an average of those 4 numbers in my head, thinking that 65 was pretty much the mean, but it isn't if you do the math, you know what I mean, and hold it to the numbers. But if you wanted to put them in alignment, I'd say 65,000 a year.
50.
That's what we'd have to do. We'd have to increase his salary to 2,000. You know, an additional 2,430, and then give him the 3% of 1,223 on top.
But he just stated that 5% was accepted.
Yeah.
That makes it 63,808.
Yeah, no.
I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on this.
So again, now we gotta subtract $1,823.
Reg? Howard?
I'm good with 63,808.
How do we stop everyone from wanting raises?
You don't. Everybody's gonna want raises. That's
Well, that's what I'm
everybody. I shouldn't say that. There were.
You can't
She has
have
a
it
book
all.
over there from each department head to put in for their raises.
No, we didn't put in for raises, we put in for the cost of living raises, not a raise.
Cost of
Less
living
than cost of
raises. Right.
Yeah, less than cost of living raises.
Cost of living increase.
Right.
Increase, excuse me.
And that's at.
And that's at the
7
low end.
I think that's 7.8.
Cost of living. Yep. Lowest I've seen it is indexed at a little over 5. Some have it as high as, like you say, 7.8. Inflation rate is 8.3.
But with the cost of gas, that changes daily, right?
Yeah, it's
Not
on its-
daily, but it
it's-
can change.
Well, it's on its way right back up to $5 a gallon. I mean, he did what he could do to bring it down, and so did the governor before the midterms, but now we're getting to the 5 weeks out, and
Let's put it this way, we're getting kerosene
It-
tomorrow at $4.99 a gallon.
yeah, it's already the average. I think the news tonight was $3.80 something cents a gallon. already. So it's on its way back up, and I think it's gonna top back out at $4 or $5 a gallon. Between $4 and $5 a gallon. So that's 19, if I did my calculations right, that's a $1,985 base jump to his pay. And then you'd add in 1823 for the 3% cost of living.
So it's 38, right? Or 30,
Yeah, all I did is subtract the 1823 from the 5% figure of 63,808, which would put that.
so how do we answer that? How do we, what do we do going forward with raises for everyone?
I guess that's a judgment call by this board on what the salary is, like we've been doing as past practice, or what the other, comparatively speaking to that job, what the other towns are. And that's how we've been doing. And that's why I asked him to get those figures for us. And I also asked Sam to bring some figures for us, which he gave me as I to see that we're not paying much more than another town for the same services.
Yeah, I don't think we are, because we, you know, like I said, when we did this originally, the 59,000 was a number we came up with.
Mm-hmm. Which was
I mean,
comparable at the time to
Right.
the other towns around us. So
Right. And
that's
I
how
think
we
they've all
did that one.
pretty much gone with 3% year after year with that also.
Except the 1 year,
Right.
of course.
Yeah, we all ate a zero then.
I don't know if other towns did it, though.
They did. Nobody else took a zero that I'm aware of.
Right.
I could be mistaken, but nobody that I know took a zero that 1 year.
So the actual raise is 1,800 or something.
The actual raise, I got too many figures out here again now.
Without the cost.
38.
The cost of living, or the cost of living adjustment would be $1,823.
Yeah.
And with an increase,
1985.
of the 1985. Because he's at 60,000.
Yep.
I did my math right. So we'd be increasing his base salary to 61,985, and then giving him the same percent cost of living raise, 3% everybody else.
So he asked for 10%, which is $6,077 originally.
And this turns out, thinking of percentage-wise, is 5% then.
It does. It does.
But it's really, if we're just keeping everybody at 3%.
It is. And adjusting his base pay. To bring him in alignment with the rest of the other
$1,900.
superintendents. That he's got the figures on. Minus the town of Plattsburgh, which was 87. Probably, I know we'll go to 87,358 because they give their employees the same raise that their contract raises.
And the workers received 4.25, right?
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
The highway,
Your
yeah.
workers.
Yeah.
They received $1 increase an hour, which works out to 4.25% raise for this year. So basically, it's $2,269 less than what you asked for.
It's
It's something. It's not.
yeah.
It's not nothing either, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
It's roughly gonna give you almost a $4,000 raise.
Yeah, 30, 38 something.
30.
If he's good with that, is everybody else good with that?
I'd be good with none.
Nah, you know,
We're just,
you don't want to have to wait in.
I'm really honestly concerned with this.
Yeah, this
I
is,
really am, Kevin. I
it's
just
not,
don't want that messed up.
it's not set in stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is never set in stone anyway, right?
It's
And
not
like
set
she
in-
said, you know, Association of Towns, that'd be a quick thing.
Yep.
Phone call for you tomorrow, maybe.
So right now, I'm just gonna put it in as a tentative 63,808 until
So
you
it-
call the town. or
basically
association.
what you're gonna show on that line item is a 5% increase over
Yeah,
last year.
I'm not, but the preliminary's not gonna go in until after everything's done.
Absolutely.
And you call and.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if we gotta reconvene a special one, I'll put it out and we'll do it. I got no problem, that's what I was telling you. I just wanna make sure we can lock it down if everything goes forward. If not, we'll look at it again. Cause it definitely wouldn't be fair to him if we
Right.
can't do it this way.
So how would you do it for him if you can't do it that way?
The only other way you could do it is give him a straight up 5% raise. Right? And saying that's what the cost of living is for him.
You can't have a cost of living raise for somebody different.
I agree with you, and that's another question I'm gonna ask them. But I know of no other way. 'Cause
You're
it
not,
doesn't
not
say-
being greedy, guys, but the thing of it is, nobody asks for raises. Mike, I have nothing, I mean, you should, because
go
you,
for it.
you know how I,
Go for it.
you know, the former superintendent got, and you did
74,000.
too. No, but I'm saying he got, when he got into office, he got the raw end of the stick and so did you. But on the other hand, other people put in for just a cost of living raise, except for a few people, and didn't get a chance to meet with the board and say, well, listen, I think that I'm worth a little bit more than what I do.
So if we keep the cost of living the same for everybody, then
You
it solves
should,
that.
yeah. I mean, it should be.
How did Mike get a raw deal when, on his job?
I don't want to go into it.
Hey,
No,
you want to speak? I'll
No.
shut it off temporarily.
no.
Mike's salary was based upon, like I just said, what the other towns in this area were getting.
And that's fine and dandy, but say like when I'm done, are you gonna just go around and lower my salary, the salary for somebody else coming in based on what everybody gets?
That's a
I
good
would-
point.
Is that
I
what
would
we're gonna
probably
start doing? Because nobody's gonna take jobs.
Well, the only thing is I would say that seniority has its privileges. You, as well as any previous employee that's worked here, has got 3 and 4% raises over the years, constantly, based upon, that's how much, you know, everybody agreed that 74,000 some odd dollars was a lot for us to pay for a highway superintendent. And here we are 2.5 years later, and the mean average comes up to 63,808. All right, so you can't sit here in good conscience and say that we weren't paying him good money. But at the time, he had increased his salary due to the 2 or 3 or
Every
whatever
year.
percent raises.
No questions
on his
asked.
And one of them was, and I'm not gonna throw out any names, but it was a previous superintendent before he was in that ended up getting, I think it was a $7,000 raise in 1 year. And that board.
Well, so did the codes officer get a $14,000 raise in 1 year.
So when we post the
I
position
got taken
for
before I
elections,
started.
I think that it is good sense for a town board to look at what other towns are paying for those positions and make sure they're within alignment of the other salaries. And I'm only one on the board.
Well, we all voted that in.
Yeah.
So we all agreed on it. It's like any other private sector, you don't start it.
Yeah, anytime we replace anybody, we get to take a look at the salary to see if we're in too high or too low, or,
And like I said, that it's, when you're in a job for multiple years, I mean, I've been in your job for what?
28 years.
28 years.
And I make less than the codes officer and I make less than the assessor.
So at that time, we should look at that salary and say, okay, as a new hire, should they be starting out at what the old hire is? And it's not uncommon practice because even the highway garage contract starts their new employee at $1 less an hour than what the base level is. And then they get step raises
Yeah.
as they've been there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Takes
the same
less
thing with
time.
my job. I got step raises all the way through. The base still changes and goes up to keep in alignment with the salaries for whatever job that is, but not their longevity steps or what they've made on percentage raises. I mean, I'm only one.
It's just like saying a new council member would be starting lower than someone like Mike who,
That's right, you can't do it.
of course, you've got to set a salary.
If,
Period.
if,
You see what I mean by that?
I
Kevin?
do, and I agree with you, if that salary is too low, okay? Or it's too high. In your case, I believe that you're gonna run into that issue where it's going to be a lot lower than what some other councils
Maybe.
are paid for. In that new, or 2 or 3 new members, or whoever is on the makeup
Sure.
of that board at that time, may very well at that time say, well, sitting here saying, I think that $6,000 a year isn't enough to be a councilman, and I want to make 8. And at that time, you're going to have a 200% markup or increase to that salary. It works both directions. And that's why I cautioned you last year and this year as well. It's very admirable to not take an increase in your salary, but it does reduce or stagnate that salary, so that when somebody comes in and it says, okay, you know.
I don't know if anybody take this job for the money though.
Yeah. Maybe not, but people still want to be paid for the time. But you're right. I mean, I'm not doing what I'm doing for strictly. It's not there. I can make a lot more doing other things. You have to want to better your community, and that's some of the opposite of it. Is taking that on the chin, saying, if you want the job, this is what it pays.
Yeah, everybody knows that when you sign up for it.
Without beating a dead horse, with that, to your question posed, if this is not able to go forward legally, I would convene a special meeting to amend